Part 53. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 526. Chapter 526 Washing the Body. With the purple golden cores offering, Wei Suo's fingers turned strangely. More than a dozen strange thread rays emerged between his fingers and joined together to form a small rune shape-shift great art array. Seeing this scene, green-robed old man couldn't help but shook his head helplessly. The shapeshift great art of this golden core heart engraving wonderful scripture looks very simple, but green-robed old man is very clear that the movement of shapeshift great art is more difficult than the performance of other shapeshift great art. As long as the finger is pinched, there is a slight deviation in the distance between the fingers. This rune shapeshift great art array has no shapeshift great art at all. But this guy has a very subtle aspect similar to refining talisman, but it does have amazing talent. Others may not be able to successfully apply shapeshift great art for dozens of times, but he will apply shapeshift great art. Successful. Green-robed old man feels that this talent is not inconsistent with the man's wretched appearance, but Wei Suo's shapeshift great art has no pause. When the bright white rune shapeshift great art array was completed in his hands, he immediately rose from his hands. This bright white rune shapeshift great art array is a rectangular body with a prismatic shape that looks like a small white great treasure diamond. After the ascent, the little rune shapeshift great art was quietly suspended, but the glow of the Wei Suo golden core was a rapid change. A sleek purple golden core sunlight formed a stream of water that wrapped the heaven overflowing river scroll. This kind of shapeshift great art looks very calm, but the spiritual chi outside Wei Suo is very fluctuating. The piece of lotus petals, the seemingly poor spiritual chi are shaking. Obviously this kind of shapeshift great art's loss to true Yuan is very intense. Soon, a strange scene appeared. Under the package of this fluffy purple golden core sunlight, heaven overflowing river scroll is like a feeling of being soaked. The heaven overflowing river scroll itself seems to be beginning to resist this change, starting with a layer of transparent water that forms a transparent layer of water outside the heaven overflowing river scroll. Wei Suo's fingers bounced a few times. Among the bright white rune shapeshift great art arrays, the position of some light thread seems to have changed a lot. In the glow of Wei Suo golden core, many small optical symbols suddenly appeared, constantly hitting the transparent water layer outside the heaven overflowing river scroll. Slowly, the transparent water layer outside the heaven overflowing river scroll turned into a purple color, which seemed to merge with Wei Suo's golden core sunlight as a naked body. Seeing such a scene, green-robed old man couldn't help but roll one's eyes. Look at this lust shape. Wei Suo's golden core powerful energy is really enough for him to successfully complete the ordinary golden core third layer cultivator to complete the surgery of the shapeshift great art great treasure shapeshift great art. Wei Suo also had a touch of color on his face. After seeing heaven overflowing river scroll, the original transparent water layer turned purple. The heaven overflowing river scroll no longer resisted its own changes, but completely calmed down. Slowly, it was originally white, with some of Cyan's heaven overflowing river scroll, which also began to turn purple. And the material that is almost silky, seems to slowly become translucent, and it looks like a soft gel-like material. With the white light of the rune shapeshift great art suspended above Wei Suo's palm, the heaven overflowing river scroll actually seems to be concentrated, and it keeps getting smaller and becomes only half a slab like a great treasure. Under Wei Suo's eyes flash, his golden core of Pangret treasure is slowly approaching the heaven overflowing river scroll. Hong, a surging sound, the golden core on the Zhiguang rushed up, as if to swallow origin chi. It is actually directly inhaling this heaven overflowing river scroll into the golden core. What is this lust condition? Yang Rougebird sees two bird eyes almost cobbled, and from its position, heaven overflowing river scroll seems to melt into Wei Suo's golden core. Pu. But more mysterious changes are still behind. I saw that heaven overflowing river scroll was hidden in Wei Suo's golden core. Wei Suo's golden core was surrounded by Guanghua and rune, but suddenly there were a lot of light characters, and the entire body of golden core was immediately there is a layer of transparent water vapor, like the surface of the golden core, with layers of water waves constantly rushing. This, green-robed old man is also awkward, because he saw the lotus petals formed by the purple spiritual chi outside Weisuo, and there are some fascinating waters. On many lotus petals, there is a dew-like crystal. Water drops. Although watching heaven overflowing river scroll is hidden in the golden core, he knows that Weisuo has made heaven overflowing river scroll into a shapeshift great art great treasure, which is already complete. Next, we don't need any action from Weisuo. The powerful energy of heaven overflowing river scroll will naturally grow slowly under the nourishment of golden core chi. This kind of refining shapeshift great art great treasure is like planting a seed in the golden core, and then waiting for it to grow slowly. But this change has made green-robed old man somewhat unexpected. At this time, Weisuo, as the party, was somewhat surprised. Just as he succeeded in making this heaven overflowing river scroll refined into the shapeshift great art great treasure, he felt that he had a unique connection among golden core and heaven overflowing river scroll, just like this heaven overflowing river scroll is also part of your own naked body. As soon as his mind moves, the heaven overflowing river scroll can be sacrificed with his golden core. And what made him unexpected was that the moment when heaven overflowing river scroll and his own golden core merged, the powerful energy of his own golden core suddenly increased a lot. And he can feel that the powerful energy of heaven overflowing river scroll is also a lot better. It seems that this golden gate heart engraving wonderful scripture does not say, but in fact, golden core and the life of shapeshift great art great treasure are also mutually nourishing relationship, golden core chi, for the life of shapeshift great art great treasure very great treasure, good secret place, and origin chi of the shapeshift great art great treasure, also has a great secret place for the golden core. Now water spiritual chi of heaven overflowing river scroll seems to be born with the effect of scouring the body. Under the scouring infiltration of water spirit chi on the heaven overflowing river scroll, Weisuo could even feel that some of the unfavorable impurities in the golden core and the body were washed away. The old man, it seems that I chose to make this heaven overflowing river scroll into a shapeshift great art great treasure. I really have no choice this feeling, Weisuo couldn't help but surprise the green-robed old man. Green-robed old man is very familiar with Weisuo. He knows that Weisuo will definitely say the reason, so he doesn't say anything, just look at Weisuo and look at what you are going to say. The more powerful energy the great treasure of the shapeshift great art great treasure, the more difficult it is to refining the suppression, this refining of the shapeshift great art great treasure, and refining the annihilation golden core is still somewhat similar. Weisuo is no nonsense, and immediately said, even if you find other powerful energy, you can make a great reward. You can use the cultivation shift great art great treasures shapeshift great art great treasure. With my cultivation base, it may not be able to refining. I am afraid that it will not be a matter of 10 years and 8 years. In my sense, my golden core powerful energy can only be used to sacrifice this half-mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure. Now I feel it, this is the shapeshift great art great treasure that can refine the shapeshift great art great treasure. One is to be able to integrate with the golden core. The other is to be beneficial to the cultivator. The original origin chi can't be on the cultivator and the golden core. Damage is produced, and different types of shapeshift great art great treasure, the role of the cultivator seems to be very different. Heaven overflowing river scroll this water spirit yuan chi is the perfect water attribute shapeshift great art great treasure. It has the effect of scouring the golden core and the body to remove unfavorable impurities from the naked body. After a pause, Weisuo smiled at green-robed old man. What does this effect mean, you should know. It seems that you choose the shapeshift great art great treasure, it is not wrong green-robed old man stunned, heavily stunned a surging sound. He naturally knows that as the duration of cultivation, the unfavorable impurities in the cultivator naked body are naturally accumulating, and the naked body of the equivalent to cultivator cultivation is becoming more and more unfavorable. Amethyst fox rose is wonderful, but amethyst fox rose this kind of thing, but one plant is one less, and it is impossible to get it often. And this kind of water spirit Yuan-Chi scouring the body and the golden core, it is precious to constantly improve the naked body of the cultivator, just like the constant cultivation of the foundation of the culture, is the most basic foundation of the cultivator. Since then, because the master did not have a golden core stage cultivator, the grade is not enough, so green-robed old man to the life shape-shift great art great treasure there is no understanding, plus the reverend from the dry logo shape-shift great art, there is no shape-shift great art great treasure refined into the life shapes-shift great art great treasure will have a description of how good secret place is, so before green-robed old man naturally felt Weisuo now means, with half mystic. Rank shapes-shift great art great treasure refined into the life shape-shift great art great treasure, the starting point is somewhat lower. But heaven overflowing river scroll has this kind of equito to help the cultivator take root. Now, even if Weisuo has more than this heaven overflowing river scroll powerful energy, shapeshift great art great treasure is suitable for refining the shapeshift great art great treasure. If green-robed old man is going to make a choice, green-robed old man will choose this heaven overflowing river scroll. Because other shapeshift great art great treasures may improve some of the cultivator's divine ability, or the great treasure can increase the golden core's power to the enemy, but for the cultivator, this momentary boost to the powerful energy naturally, it is not the most basic thing. Hong. Suddenly, Weisuo's golden core was put on a great treasure, and the glow of the sun condensed a purple heavenly dragon. This time, I was shocked by the still sinking green-robed old man. You want to scare me, ah? But it's not waiting for green-robed old man to say this, the look of green-robed old man has solidified. I saw Weisuo's under the purple heavenly dragon, and there was a white water wave. Obviously, after the transformation of the shapeshift great art great treasure, the golden core sunlight is also a natural energy with the powerful energy of the shapeshift great art great treasure. I have a powerful energy for this golden core sunlight, and at least 20% of the great treasure. Weisuo was very satisfied. After feeling this purple heavenly dragon, she suddenly remembered what it looked like, looking at green-robed old man. You said that Kylan King Water Seal doesn't know if you can sacrifice the life of shapeshift. Great art great treasure, if you can, it might be better to smash the body and golden core. Dedication. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 527. Chapter 527 The Plague. Although the core bead is still reddish-brown, but there is no brilliance, spiritual chi, it seems to be a piece of lifeless wood, and the golden triangle is a black triangle-like shapeshift great art great treasure. Completely damaged. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. Old great treasure, you said that this golden core did not make shapeshift great art refining the annihilation golden core, but this golden core looks so terrifying. Can you say that you can make some light lines on it, camouflage into the annihilation golden core? When it comes out, it scares people to death. Seeing Weisuo's pitiful sigh, I wanted to throw this useless golden core into the skeleton of Reverend's cheeks. Yang Rougebird said this. Disguised as annihilation golden core, when I heard Yang Rougebird say this, Weisuo was a slight glimpse and couldn't help but look at green-robed old man. I think shapeshift great art is good. Green-robed old man took a look at Yang Rougebird and looked at Weisuo. This is a really authentic golden core. It's a shame to make shapeshift great art make some light like annihilation golden core when you are on the road, teach you how to get it, but the atmosphere above, but certainly there is no such thing as the annihilation golden core. I am afraid that it will be felt that this is a fake. I am afraid that the paste will not be fooled. When you get a real annihilation golden core embedded, isn't the breath the same? Yang Rougebird said this again. These green-robed old men are stunned. This golden core of Reverend has lost its powerful energy. It is a breeze to dig a hole and bury the real annihilation golden core. When you bury an annihilation golden core and do some secret place outside, it is probably the great treasure cultivator of the golden core 5th layer. You can't see that this is a fake annihilation golden core. It was discovered that the annihilation golden core was inside. When you are on the road, set up shapeshift great art to get this golden core. Weisuo didn't waste time, but his eyes were directly absorbed into the ancient storage ring, the damaged essence metal in the 3rd layer. This appearance is great treasure blue essence metal, although it is completely broken, but it can kill a golden core 4th layer of the great treasure cultivator in this secret place, maybe some mysterious, some inside the naked body essence metal, etc., may have some effect. These should be crystal stones, which can record images of the shapeshift great art. This 3rd layer should be arranged to let the cultivator in the door, watch the scene of the cultivator fighting great art scene, but this kind of crystal stone also has a special shapeshift great art array, and it is not so useful. Secret place. Seeing Weisuo's next gaze, staying on the cracked white crystal stone, green-robed old man said after a slight indulgence. Weisuo nodded and divine consciousness carefully scanned it several times to make sure that there was no other valuable thing, then took the black knife refining rune essence metal in his hand and began to cut the 3 layers. Star white gold in the temple. The black knives refined by rune essence metal cut star white gold, and it didn't work. Just half an hour later, Weisuo cut out all the star white gold in the 3-story hall and loaded it into the ancient storage ring. Subsequently, Weisuo did not stop at the fractured mountain range, but continued to fly in one direction. After a full day of time, Weisuo, who was flying in the air, suddenly stopped. The vastness of this secret place is really far out of his imagination. He continued to fly this great treasure for a long time. He still didn't see the margin of the place. The feeling given to him here is far more than hundreds of thousands of miles. I am afraid it is at least in the millions of miles. Moreover, there seems to be no central location at all in this place. In the place where there are many buildings with wreckage, he saw a few secret places along the way. It seems that there is no fixed number of things that come in. And the terrain inside, there is nothing too great about the change of great treasure. This great treasure is half a day, but he is more and more shocked. If this whole space is like this, then he really does not know how to get out. But at the moment, let him pause, but he seems to hear the far secret place seems to have a roaring surging sound similar to the shapeshift great art. Just as his gaze was inconspicuous, he clearly heard a surging sound of a surging sound. This surging sound made him judge that it was from the left side of his current position and the secret place. Without the slightest hesitation, Weisuo flew past the secret place. Great treasure is just half stick of incense. After the time is over, there is a cyan escape light and a yellow escape light in Weisuo's line of sight. The 2 escape lights made Weisuo's eyes shrink. Between the eyes flash, he took out the invisible shapeshift great art and put it on his body. The speed of these 2 escape lights is amazing, especially the speed of a cyan escape light ahead, which is more than twice as fast as his chi fire boat. The speed of the yellow escape light at the rear seems to be faster than his chi fire boat. These 2 escape lights, seemingly chasing one escape, the front of the cyan escape light, is desperately trying to escape. Originally at the speed of the cyan escape light, it should be possible to completely remove the yellow escape light from the rear. But just a moment, Weisuo saw the speed of the cyan escape light continue to drop. It seems that the cultivator of this control's cyan escape light is similar to the blood light escape. It can increase the speed of the great treasure by paying a price, but there is no shapeshift great art that shapeshift great art has been using for a long time. Suddenly, Weisuo, who had been watching for change, suddenly jumped his brows and did not hide his whereabouts. Instead, he directly sacrificed Chi Fire Boat and turned it into a black-red escape light, welcoming the blue light. Past. Where is fellow deist? Do you keep up with Qingping fellow deist? At the same time, Weisuo's surging sound was also rolled out. Fellow deist Wei. The cyan escape light that flew in front of us saw the Weisuo's escape light rising, but it was a stunned look, but when we heard the Weisuo's surging sound, the cultivator was surprisingly called surging sound. Come. The cultivator included in the cyan chi flame is a Qingping that was previously separated from Weisuo in the Valley of Spirits. Come on. After a surprise called surging sound, I rushed to Weisuo's chi fire boat, and it seemed that True Yuan was extremely squandered by Qingping, and it was such a surging sound. Can't go. Their speed is above my chi fire boat. Just in a short time, Weisuo's chi fire boat caught Qingping, but Weisuo stopped and looked at the yellow escape light. Is this chase behind? It's Coil Dragon Reverend of True Martial Sect and a cultivator I don't know, Coiling Dragon Reverend, the great treasure cultivator of the Golden Core 3rd layer late stage, and another cultivation base of the cultivator, which is also far above me. Qingping panted vigorously, looking at the rear escape light, the original white face, but it was even more bloodless. Because she also knows that Weisuo is telling the truth, in such a place where there is nothing to block, if the speed is not as good as the other side, it is not possible to run shapeshift great art. True Martial Sect's great treasure cultivator? How come here? Weisuo's brows unconsciously wrinkled. Why are they chasing you, fellow Daoist Chi? What about their people? Don't know. Qingping shook his head in a white face. I and husband are all scattered by the power of the space. It is also one person who came to this place. I used to find one of the pieces of the yellow crystal tablet in a secret place. I saw this piece of crystal tablet, I thought that husband and others may be involved, maybe nearby, so I put a surging sound for a while. I didn't expect to see my husband, but they are the two. I came over, and the yellow crystal tablet fragments didn't know what to use for the two people. When I saw the yellow and the crystal tablet fragments, I immediately killed the killer and wanted to snatch the yellow tablet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 528. Chapter 528 Weak Meat? Yellow Crystal Tablet Fragments. As soon as I heard Qingping say, Weisuo's eyes flashed. Qingping, fellow Daoist, the yellow tablet fragments you found, how much great treasure is small, can you still stimulate? Look at what they are chasing after you now, should this piece still be in your hands? This is the fragment of the crystal tablet I found. The apex novel hits the novel, Huang flashed, and the scene light at the back could not catch up. Qingping took the yellow tablet fragments directly from the treasure receiving pocket. As for whether it can be motivated, I did not have time to try it. This yellow crystal tablet fragment is more great treasure than the yellow crystal tablet fragments obtained by Weisuo. The great treasure is about 1/3 of the original yellow tablet monument fragment. Without the slightest hesitation, the gaze is only between the flashes, and Weisuo's True Yuan is pouring into the yellow crystal tablet. With Weisuo's True Yuan's attention, the yellow crystal tablet immediately emits a pale yellow spirit light, forming a pale yellow mask, and the great treasure can accommodate about 3 people. Seeing such a lust scene, Weisuo's brow jumped, but a little breath, but instead stopped controlling Chi Fire Boat and stopped. Of course, he knows that the Golden Core 3rd layer's great treasure cultivator is extremely difficult to deal with, but he intuitively feels that this yellow crystal tablet has a great treasure relationship with whether or not he left the place. Fellow Daoist Wei, do you think they might have discovered the shapeshift great art that left the secret place and is related to this yellow crystal tablet? Qingping is not stupid. Hearing Weisuo specifically ask the yellow crystal tablet and saw the god lust of Weisuo at this time, he immediately responded and looked at Weisuo. You should collect this first. Weisuo nodded. I don't think that this yellow crystal tablet can be used in addition to the space crack, and what makes the Golden Core 3rd layer great treasure cultivator covet. The ancient cultivator that left the map, even how the unravel and the spirit shift great art of the restrictions have been studied. If the yellow tablet has other magical effects, the cultivator may have been researched. I used it myself. Fellow Daoist Wei. This person surnamed Wei, and Qingping is acquaintance, so old, it seems that I am looking for the cultivator. It's really an innocent secret place to break through the iron shoes. It doesn't take much time. Fellow Daoist Bai, this person is not good to deal with, wait for me to say. It is really necessary to get started, and try not to damage the person's body. Just between Wei Suo and Qingping intercourse, the two cultivators in the yellow escape light are also talking on the intercourse. The yellow escape light is emitted by a topaz three-footed great treasure. This topaz three-legged great treasure has a room with great treasure, and it is covered with a yellow dragonfly. The shape is very simple. It looks like the shape-shift great art great treasure left by ancient. Above the top of the topaz, a young man in the green robe wearing a bamboo leaf rune, outside the spiritual chi forms a 5.5 long yellow coiling dragon, the true martial sex supreme elder, coiling dragon reverend. But the other one, not the ancient alligator cave lord who had been with him, was with the gnome cultivator. The cultivator in the three cultivators looked weak and the cultivator dressed up by Confucianism. This cultivator doesn't know how to be with coiling dragon reverend, but looking at the two people at the moment, it is obvious that some agreement has been reached. Very well, there seems to be no shapeshift great art great treasure faster than my coiling dragon, and this one seems to see that we know the side of the shapeshift great art. Talked. Coiling dragon reverend is obviously an old-fashioned, extremely responsive person. Just seeing Wei Suo's escape light stop, he immediately guessed Wei Suo's thoughts. A surging sound of boom, between the treacherous divine light in his eyes, the topaz of the topaz under his feet is also slowing down, no longer seems so aggressive. Which fellow Daoist is in front? At the same time, the surging sound of coiling dragon reverend is also rolled out. In the next surname way, it is said that you are great treasure coiling dragon reverend, do not know another fellow Daoist, what is the name? Looking at the topaz of the topaz, which has obviously dropped down, the look on Wei Suo's face is not changed, and the surging sound is not humble. It's really coiling dragon reverend, the fellow Daoist is the great treasure fan reverend coiling dragon reverend's topaz three-footed great treasure tripod continues to be close to Wei Suo's chi fire boat. Great treasure fan reverend by Ji Unkong. At this time Wei Suo's chi fire boat and this topaz great treasure tripod has been less than 10, great treasure ding on coiling dragon and reverend dress up Confucian, as can see clearly, one hears coiling dragon reverend so, Qingping suddenly is facial expression great treasure change, preach surging sound to Wei Suo Wei, fellow Daoist Wei, you have to be careful, this great treasure fan reverend is far from his appearance so weak, the person in heavenly profound continent northern part fierce name, is golden core second L air late stage of the great treasure cultivator, and not old Xuanhuan, black firewood reverend and called the 3 days north, specifically in heaven's dome outside kill cultivator, even cultivation base is a lot less cultivator than they are. The other one is also a great master of great treasure. I don't know how the two fellow Daoists will fall into this place. How can they kill Qingping fellow Daoist? Wei Suo does not move the surging sound color and continues to look at coiling dragon reverend and Confucian dressed by Ji Unkong. A golden treasure third cultivator of the golden core third layer, plus a cultivator of the golden core second layer, Wei Suo did not dare to tear the face. It's not necessary to chase down Qingping fellow Daoist coiling dragon reverend looked at Wei Suo, and there was no color in his eyes. It was obvious that he had already thought about the words. It's just the thing on her hand. It's very important to us. It must be done. If she is taken away by her, we may have to be trapped here and die here. As for how we came to this secret place, to be honest we were also unclear. We were looking for something in the wilderness of Heaven's Dome, and the result was rolled up by a black light. So, you know the shapeshift great art that left the place, Wei Suo's brows slightly jumped. Yes, after we were involved in this secret place, We have explored many places and found a place where secret places can leave, but the secret place is the thing that will be taken away by Qingping. Fellow deist Coiling Dragon Reverend didn't shy away from anything. He looked at Qingping and said, "The thing in the hands of Qingping. Fellow deist, the truth is what we brought." Wei Suo glanced at Coiling Dragon Reverend and said, "Since the great treasure family is in this place, it is better to go to the secret place together and set the shapeshift great art to leave." "How?" "If we can, we naturally will not reject such a proposal. There is nothing in this secret place, there is nothing spiritual chi, no one wants to stay." Coiling Dragon Reverend reached out and a yellow light flew to Wei Suo. "Look at this first." N. Wei Suo's eyes suddenly violently flashed. Coiling Dragon Reverend was in front of him, and it was also a piece of yellow crystal tablet. It's just that this piece is much smaller than the fragment of the wafer on Wei Suo's hand, only a small piece of great treasure. And now the color of the yellow pieces is obviously very light, and there are many fine cracks inside. I don't know if fellow deist Wei knows anything about this thing. Seeing that Wei Suo's eyes flashed, Coiling Dragon Reverend asked this question without moving the surging sound. Wei Suo did not answer and turned to look at Qingping. This thing was in the hands of Qi Longshan. To understand, Qingping's understanding of this thing must be above him. We only know that this thing can pass through some space cracks. As for the others, there is nothing to understand. Qingping took a deep breath, said, "If I am not mistaken, this thing is the fragment of the monument." Coiling Dragon Reverend took a deep look at Wei Suo and Qingping. "I have seen the record of this thing in some classical styles. Originally, this ancient great treasure also has the space to smash, escape, and hide, but in the hands of ancient cultivator, it has been broken. So there is only the mystery that passes through some space cracks. Moreover, this fragment only has the powerful energy of the material itself. The powerful energy of the shapeshift great art array is running low, so if you encounter some space cracks of strong energy, you will be damaged if you can pass through." Could it be that here Suo's brow suddenly slammed the words of Coiling Dragon Reverend? It seems that fellow deist Wei has already guessed it. Coiling Dragon Reverend looked at Wei Suo. "Yes, we happened to pick up this piece of debris. It was also the space where we found that the secret place should be a space gap to try. It turned out that although this longevity monument can barely protect the cultivator, it will definitely be destroyed after passing." After the pause, Coiling Dragon Reverend looked at the faintly fragmented piece in front of Wei Suo. "This piece, after I fired it with True Yuan, controlled it to stay in the crack of the space for a moment. Now it looks like this. To be honest, I have already tried this fragment on the Ping." Wei Suo took a deep breath and looked at Coiling Dragon Reverend without any nonsense. "But the brilliance that comes out of this piece of fragmentation can only cover the appearance of 3 people at most. I don't know what to do with Reverend for this. Heaven's dome in the wild, the fairest rule is the weak meat. I think every fellow deist here doesn't want to give this opportunity to others, and volunteer to leave it." Coiling Dragon Reverend looked at Wei Suo and said, "If I am not mistaken, fellow deist Wei and fellow deist Bai's divine ability should all be on the Qingping." "Fellow deist? What do you mean, we 3 people go out and leave Qingping?" "Fellow deist," Wei Suo looked at Coiling Dragon and asked faintly. Upon hearing this, Qingping's face became a snow white but white. "This is the best solution to do shapeshift great art, otherwise, we will fight with divine ability of our other 3 people. Maybe it will not be possible for one person to go out." Coiling Dragon Reverend looked at Wei Suo and nodded. "Maybe fellow deist is also a smart person, and I should also see the current situation." Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 529. Chapter 529 wants your life. I don't quite agree with such a solution. Shapeshift great art. Wei Suo looked at Coiling Dragon Reverend without a look at lust. "This longevity fragment is originally ours. Even if you don't tell us where the cracks can pass, we slowly look for it and always find it. And this thing is now in our hands. Let me abandon a companion here to go out, I can't do this kind of thing. Anyway, fellow Daoist Bai is not your true martial section. It's better for me and Qingping fellow Daoist to take you out and leave fellow Daoist Bai here. When I heard the voice of Shapeshift Great Art by Wei Suo, Qingping's eyes flashed a grateful look. She is very clear that if Wei Suo and Coiling Dragon Reverend and Great Treasure Fan Reverend Bai Jiankong teamed up to deal with her, she did not even have the chance to destroy the monument, to destroy indiscriminately. If you want to leave fellow Daoist Bai without paying any price, I am not sure. When we heard that Wei Suo said Shapeshift Great Art, Coiling Dragon Reverend smiled a little. If I and fellow Daoist Bai are on fellow Daoist Wei and Qingping fellow Daoist, then even if there is no Shapeshift Great Art, fellow Daoist Wei can be easily dealt with. But killing Qingping fellow Daoist, should there be a chance for Great Treasure? The two can try it out. Wei Suo didn't lift his eyelids. Under the downside, I don't want to make it so stiff with fellow Daoist. It's better to think about how to do Shapeshift Great Art. Coiling Dragon Reverend slightly sinks into a look. If you agree to our conditions, the three of us will leave this place, and I will give you another extra secret place. We don't say anything about true martial section. Medicine pill above Dao rank can still come up with a lot. After the pause, Coiling Dragon Reverend looked at Wei Suo and said seriously, if fellow Daoist is not in the letter, you can make a vow. Die rank above medicine pill. Wei Suo's vision flickered for a moment. It seems to be a little heart-like. Seeing Wei Suo's appearance, Qingping's face suddenly became pale. In my identity as true martial sect, 2 or 3 medicine pills above Dao rank are not a problem. Coiling Dragon Reverend took a look at Wei Suo. If fellow Daoist Wei has any other conditions, it can be raised. If it is within its power, it can be satisfied. I heard that fellow Daoist Bai had something I wanted. Wei Suo took a look at Bai Jiankong without moving the surging sound. Some words, I want to talk to fellow Daoist Bai. Oh. I heard that Wei Suo said that Shapeshift Great Art. Coiling Dragon Reverend and Bai Jiankong suddenly showed an unexpected look. Fellow Daoist Wei, you. The Qingping is a face of great treasure, and the figure slams out to the side, and the hand presses on the treasure receiving pocket, and a pair is about to prepare for the disaster. Coiling Dragon Reverend, Qingping fellow Daoist is bothering you. Staring, the fragment is in her hands, if she has any changes, but I have to bother you. Wei Suo is a faceless look, and he doesn't even look at Qingping. I have to say a few words to fellow Daoist Bai alone. This is naturally no problem. An undetectable, cold, and smug look flashed through the eyes of Coiling Dragon Reverend. Bai Jiankong, who was dressed up by Confucianism, moved and walked over 10 feet. His face still looked a little surprised. I don't know what fellow Daoist Wei wants on my hand. What I want is yours. Last name. Wei Suo looked at Bai Jiankong and there was no change in his face. What? Bai Jiankong, a glimpse of the whim. When Wei Suo's words have not been finished, an extremely dangerous feeling has already risen fiercely in his heart. Pa. But he still has to make any moves in the future. A penguin great gold sword Qi, which is hundreds of feet long and a few feet wide, has been strangled in front of him. Wei Suo, you. Coiling Dragon Reverend did not expect such a change at all, and spiritual Qi was violently bombed outside. So fast for Shapeshift Great Art. At this time, Bai Jiankong couldn't make any surging sound, and the hair was erected. His reaction was not slow, but Wei Suo's Dao technique Shapeshift Great Art hit him in front of him, but he even had a Dao technique Shapeshift Great Art that was too late to cast. Wei Suo's Shapeshift Great Art speed is far above him. Hong. It was too late to display any of the Jianping Great Art and Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasures by Jiankong's fierce open mouth. Wan Dao's white glow rose from his mouth. 1.5 goose eggs Great Treasure small white golden core, rising in the rays of the sun. Between the electric flint, the glow of this white golden core condenses a white heavenly lion. Pa. A surging sound bursts, the white heavenly lion and the dark golden sword light are under a collision, and both become fragments. But at the same time, A more eye-catching purple glow has already emerged from Wei Suo's eyebrows. Hong. A horrible treasure purple golden core, which is terrifying like a small watermelon, rises in the purple glow. So great treasure. Not to mention that in the eyes of Baiji Unkong and Coiling Dragon Reverend, there was a sudden look, even Qingping was a fierce shock, and Zhang was a great treasure. A purple ancient heavenly dragon, stepping on the water, instantly formed and crushed towards Baiji Unkong, who had just resisted Wei Suo's blow. The life of shapeshift great art great treasure. You have already had a relationship with shapeshift great art great treasure. You dare to swear by me, suddenly sneak attack, don't you want to die? At this point, Coiling Dragon Reverend has reacted, and between the hands, a yellow astral chi, falling from the sky endlessly, instantly formed a great treasure with Wei Suo's purple ancient heavenly dragon. Yellow Yo. This yellow dragonfly is only the shapeshift great art condense of Coiling Dragon Reverend, but a surging sound of the bombing, on the purple ancient heavenly dragon of Wei Suo golden core sunlight condense, is the whole of this purple ancient heavenly dragon. Earthquake. Wei Suo broke through to the cultivation base of the golden core second layer. After the golden core re-expanded, the powerful energy of the golden core sunlight has reached the power of mystic rank. The 2.5 powerful energy. In addition, after the heaven overflowing river scroll refining became the life shift shapeshift great art great treasure, now his powerful energy of the purple ancient heavenly dragon, which is running on the water, is already 2 times higher than the powerful energy of mystic rank. To make. But such a powerful energy was actually blasted by a Dao technique shapeshift great art by Coiling Dragon Reverend. It can be seen that this Dao technique shapeshift great art by Coiling Dragon Reverend is definitely the top grade of heaven level top rank. Art. After the Wei Suo's purple ancient heavenly dragon, the yellow dragonfly made by Coiling Dragon Reverend turned out to be a continuation of the Wei Suo's golden core. Seeing this scene, Wei Suo's eyes also flashed a shocked look. His heavenly dragon star body tempering technique, although also the heaven-level top-rank shapeshift great art, is a specialized body, a fundamentally based shapeshift great art. Now, he really sees the terrifying powerful energy of the attack-type heaven-level top-rank shapeshift great art. Chi. However, his shot was without any pause, almost at the same time that the purple ancient heavenly dragon was shattered, and a black light spurred out of his hand. Then, the top of the black light was pulsating toward Baiji Unkong. A blood light. 2-1 splitter. How? When this blood light hit Baiji Unkong, in front of Baiji Unkong, there was already a transparent clamshell shape of ancient mirror. But in the eyes of Baiji Unkong, the moment of shocking burning with the fascinating look is that his transparent ancient mirror shapeshift great art great treasure, even the blood light issued by Wei Suo, is torn apart. It was too late to make any extra moves, and Baiji Unkong had only had time to sink his golden core and block it in front of the blood light. Pa! A surging sound in the surging sound, I saw Baiji Unkong's golden core collided on Baiji Unkong's body, a blood suddenly spurted out from the mouth of Baiji Unkong who was in the giant earthquake. You. Coiling Dragon Reverend was horrified and blocked in front of Baiji Unkong. But at the same time, the white light flashed, and Wei Suo's figure disappeared from the place and appeared next to Qingping. Coiling Dragon Reverend, can we talk about the conditions now? After the appearance of the original shadow at the side of Qingping, Wei Suo did not follow the hands, but looked at Coiling Dragon Reverend and said calmly, now the strength of fellow Daoist Bai should be worse than Qingping fellow Daoist, the 3 of us go out keeping him in this secret place should be the best choice. Coiling Dragon Reverend's face suddenly changed. Pu. At the moment, I heard the words of Wei Suo's, Baiji Unkong angered the heart, an open mouth, and spurted a blood. N. But at this time, the faces of Wei Suo, Coiling Dragon Reverend, and Qingping have also changed. On one side of the sky, there is a black escape light. Ha 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 ha. Just after the dozens of sucking, the original face is a bit ugly coiling dragon reverend, but it is a mad laugh. It's coiling dragon fellow deist. On the black light, there was also a short shout of surprise. This surging sound was made by the ancient alligator cave lord. Looking at this lust shape, the ancient alligator cave lord was also caught here, but it was also separated from the coiling dragon reverend. At this moment, it was just the same as the surging sound of the shapeshift great art. Weisuo, this guy is the original form, this guy's cultivation base is only above Baiji Unkong, not under him, this lust is not good. Green-robed old man's cold-sounding surging sound rang in Weisuo's ear. Weisuo's face is also a bit ugly right away. From the beginning, he did not believe that coiling dragon reverend happened to be near Qingcheng ruins and was rolled up to this secret place. When Xuanhui reverend was in Yellow Path City, he was with true martial sect young master Su Xuanhuan. As soon as coiling dragon reverend appeared, he immediately thought of 7 apertures immortal pill, whom he had already refining. Next, he pretended to accept the proposal. In fact, he was already annoyed with Qingping. He attacked Baiji Unkong in one fell swoop, and he did not really want to leave with coiling dragon reverend and Qingping. Coiling dragon reverend gave him the first feeling that he was not good to him. It is very safe to be able to remove Baiji Unkong and Qingping to deal with coiling dragon reverend. When he was violent, coiling dragon reverend shouted out his name when he was in a rage. He remembered clearly that he only told his surname Wei, that he did not tell him that he was Weisuo's, and that Ping Ping only called him fellow deist Wei, and did not mention his name at all. Coiling dragon reverend shouted out his name and looked at the lust shape to know him a lot. Obviously he didn't have a picture of him. Next, in his prediction, it must be a battle with this person's great treasure. But the sudden appearance of this ancient alligator cave lord is completely out of his calculations. Only then did he let Baiji Unkong not turn over, but instead directly sacrificed his own golden core. Even the blood slip shapeshift great art knife was used, but now suddenly there is a more cultivation base than Baiji Unkong. Even higher cultivator, this lust shape can be said to be extremely bad. Dedication. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 530. Congratulations to Wei Daiu. Li Ruohe turned to smile at Weisuo as soon as he saw the thin vine. Master Li Gong, can you be sure that this plant is Qingxia vine? Weisuo carefully looked at this strange vine and spoke at the same time. Qingsu Teng, its leaves are like mulberry, its taste is like blue, and its spirit is overflowing. Li Ruohe said with a smile. According to the records I have read, it should not be wrong. I have been unclear before. Why are there records? Qingxia vine is dark blue, but there are records that it is purplish gold, but now I see this thing, but it is a maze. It turns out that this thing is a cyan vine, and it will emit such a purple gold brilliance. Its leaves are like mulberry, its taste is like blue, and its spirit is overflowing. Hearing Li Ruohe saying this, Weisuo looked again and saw that the leaves of this vine are very similar to mulberry leaves, except that the leaves are slightly smaller, and the top of this vine is actually swollen by an airflow, like a candle light, the same, showing lilac, very peculiar. And this vine indeed exudes a delicate fragrance like blue. Master Li Gong, I heard from you that it was not difficult to transplant this Qingxia vine, and I don't know what kind of means to transplant it. After a little deep thought, Weisuo did not immediately collect this strain. Qingxia vine's strange little vine, but asked Li Ruohe such a sentence again. Oh? Daiu still want to transplant this Qingxia vine? Li Ruohe was obviously surprised, and could not help but glance at Weisuo, but there was no nonsense, saying, transplant this Qingxia vine. As long as it is connected, take out the roots and plant them in ordinary Qingjian jade. The most peculiar part of this thing is that you don't like the soil, and the roots will take root in Qingjian jade. It's that simple. That is to say, as long as a large piece of Qingjian jade is made, and the Qingxia vine is implanted in it, Weisuo couldn't help but glance at Qingxia vine again. Yes, But Qinjian jade is buried in the soil and connected to the Earth's atmosphere. Li Ruohe nodded. And this thing must be transplanted within 7 days at the slowest, otherwise the whole plant of Xuanhuan, although it is still there, it is dead, and naturally it cannot be said to be a transplant. Wei Suo nodded, as if there was no problem, he would immediately take the look of this Xuanhuan. How? But at this moment, his brow jumped sharply, and the whole person suddenly stopped, looking up. Just when he looked up, Li Ruohe, Qi Longshan and others have all looked up. How is this going? But with just a glance, the faces of Wei Suo, Li Ruohe and others were all immediately filled with an extremely horrified look. At the top of the entire Lingmiao Valley, the originally condensed yellow-black cloud gas suddenly burst like rocks. A series of transparent cracks spread down from these cracked yellow-black clouds, as if the space in the entire Linggu Valley is all shattered. At this moment, what Wei Zhuo and others did not know was that the tide-like black light that had been excited in that pool had swept the outside of this wonderful valley. If you look at it from the outside, you will see that the tide-like black light hit the transparent space crack at the entrance of Lingmiao Valley, and then a crack appeared immediately on the transparent space crack. The tide-like dark light is permeable, permeating from these cracks towards the Linggu Valley. No. This space is about to collapse. Although he didn't know what was going on outside, but looking at a series of transparent cracks, densely spreading from above, Wei Suo and Li Ruohe and others immediately reacted. Boom! Qilong Mountain, whose face was completely pale, excited the fragment of the yellow crystal monument almost instantly. Ah! Go! This space is really broken and collapsed. The power of this thing can't stop this space crack. But at the same time, Qing Ping's horrified voice rang. The yellow light on this yellow crystal monument just formed an irregular yellow mask, and a thin crack cut through the upper edge of the yellow mask. Immediately, just like cutting a pie, that piece of yellow brilliance was directly cut off and separated from the entire yellow mask. What? Almost at the same time, the old man in green robe screamed violently. Wei Suo's Xuancha ghost claws blasted out and grabbed Qing Suteng. No one expected that such a huge change would happen at this moment. In any case, King Suteng is in front of us, and Wei Suo will hold this King Suvine in his hand first. Hey! But almost at the same time that the piece of yellow brilliance was cut away and separated from the entire yellow mask, a transparent crack spread from above to his Xuancha ghost claws. At this moment, Wei Suo's Xuancha ghost claws had already captured King Suteng, and as long as he mentioned it, he could capture King Suteng. But this transparent crack almost cut through Wei Suo's Xuancha ghost claws. A small and a half of Wei Xiao's ghost claws were cut off directly. Can't go. The sound of Fawa's loss of life also sounded. Qilong Mountain, who originally kept the excitement of the yellow crystal tablet fragments and wanted to fly towards the entrance, also paused abnormally pale, and held hands with Qing Ping. It's just a time that you can't breathe. The scene in the entire Valley of Spirits can no longer be described by words. A series of transparent cracks have spread from the top of Linggu Valley to the ground. And after connecting to the ground is cut directly like a piece of paper. The entire Valley of Spirits has been split into hundreds, and it must be completely broken at any time. From the place where Wei Suo and others were located, to the crack of the entrance to the Lingguo Valley, there were at least hundreds of swaying cracks from the top to the ground, just like hundreds of barriers. The power of every crack is not something that Wei Suo and others can break through. And the appearance of this crack has not stopped at all. At the top of Lingmiao Valley, there are still a series of cracks that keep growing and spreading from above. And at the moment, above these cracks, there was another strange black light that spewed down. In this case, let alone a few Jindan monks, even if a dozen or so monks in the Shenxian period are added together, it is impossible to escape. Deo friends, we have a social meeting. I asked Li Ruohe to act decently, and if I can't survive today, if the Taoists can leave safely, the Spirit Beast Palace hopes you will help a lot. Li Ruohe said sadly, looking at the cracks that were raining overhead and spreading. What's the matter? Originally, this Valley of Wonder was okay, how could it suddenly collapse? Wei Suo's face was also unsightly. But he was not reconciled at all. He didn't want anything at the moment, just cast Xuancha ghost claws, and didn't look at the elixir around him. Anyway, when he saw an elixir that could be caught, he grabbed it all. Photographed back and received in the treasure. It's all life. He is so shocking and so gorgeous. The monk who has a great chance to impact the God-profound realm. When he entered such a wonderful valley of magic, he was ushered in such an accident. He was also to be buried with us. Here, looking at Wei Suo's madness of capturing the elixir, Qing Ping's eyes were desperate, and such thoughts could not help but emerge in his mind. What? Almost at this moment, several transparent cracks spread from above. The speed at which these transparent cracks spread down didn't seem to be fast, but when it fell, Wei Suo and others were simply too late to react. Click. I saw first that the yellow crystal monument excited by Qilong Mountain was cut into two sections, and Guanghua was completely lost. Qilong Mountain and Qingping were separated by this transparent crack, while Wei Suo, Fa Zhenren, and Li Ruohe was blocked on the other side of the transparent crack. Immediately, the remaining transparent cracks spread down, and Wei Suo and Fa Zhenren and Li Ruohe were also separated. At this time, the entire Linggu Valley has been divided into thousands of large and small pieces, like a piece of debris, suspended and separated in the air. Puff. The tide-like dark light swept through these fragments at an alarming rate. In the dark light, it seemed that several brilliances flashed immediately, but then, all these brilliances and the entire Linggu Valley disappeared. When you look at it from the outside, you will see that the space rift that can enter the Valley of Spirits is completely broken at this time. It seems that a gap in the space has been healed by this tide-like dark light, and the entire Valley of Spirits has disappeared without a trace. The underground palace, the black light formed by a few forbidden powers mixed together, continues to spread like a tide at an alarming speed. A moment later, in the grey mist canyon outside the Qingcheng ruin, the grey mist that was originally quietly diffused in the canyon suddenly boiled. After the appearance of this anomaly, it was only an instant of time, and the tide-like black light poured out from the mouth of the canyon. This tide-like dark light, like a shock wave, has spread to this canyon and has not stopped. What is this? Originally Panlong live action and ancient crocodile cave owner were staying in a forest 200 feet away from the canyon. At the moment when they saw this kind of dark light like a tide, the overwhelming gush, the two of them suddenly jumped upright. The ancient crocodile cave master immediately inspired his crocodile-like flying magic weapon and flew back. But the speed at which the two escaped was completely inferior to the speed at which this dark light spread. The duo of the two have almost just appeared, showing an accelerated situation, and the black light behind has swept the two in the future. Not an old man. Heiqiao real person. You. And at this time real man Panlong and ancient crocodile cave master also saw at the same time, in the mountain forest in front, there were also three panic lights that appeared extremely panic. At a glance at these three escapes, Panlong live action made a roar. It was obvious that Panlong real people recognized the identity of these people at the first glance, and also reacted at the same time. These people were originally ambushed behind their backs. They were definitely looking for opportunities to deal with themselves and the ancient crocodile cave master. But his roar was not over yet, and he and the ancient crocodile cave master had been completely engulfed by the dark light. What the is this? Ah! Can't run away. The dwarf monk, the black robber monk, and the very cautious Confucian old man, after issuing several exclamations, were also completely unable to escape, and were immediately overwhelmed by this dark light. This tide-like black light expanded at least 60 or 70 miles outward, and then retracted like a low tide. The Panlong live action, the ancient crocodile live action and the dwarf monk are all gone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 531. Chapter 531 The Battle of the Strong. You have to work with him. It is better to cooperate with us. When I heard the conversation between Succubus Deer and Weisuo's, Coiling Dragon Reverend suddenly changed his face and immediately surging sound, as long as you cooperate with us, we can not only take you out, but after going out, I can also give you a great treasure Dao pill. Great treasure Dao pill is a refinery of working with you. Then what do you mean, is to leave him? Succubus Deer's face showed a sly look, and he ordered Bai Jiankong. He has a slave bag on his body. We can kill him and take you out with a slave bag. Coiling Dragon Reverend looking at Succubus Deer, you should also see that it is easier to work with us and kill them. I want you to accept the slave bag, Succubus Deer smiled awkwardly. Then you bring me to your mountain gate, but I am going to be killed by you, and I have made shapeshift great art. Do you think I will be stupid enough to run into a slave bag without the control of shapeshift great art? Then you can guarantee that you will cooperate with him, he will not deal with you. Coiling Dragon Reverend's face also showed a sneering god, lust. Do you think you can help me, you can deal with me? Before I was good, I saw it clearly. To be honest, this person is very annoying, but he has not left this companion in the previous lust shape. It is still a bit of a believing. Succubus Deer glanced at Weisuo with a squint. As for whether you can deal with you, you will know if you try. Good. I would like to see, what means do you have, such a great treasure tone? Coiling Dragon Reverend is the supreme elder of the super martial section. It is much more valuable in the cultivation world than the cultivator of the same cultivation base. At this moment, Succubus Deer speaks completely without giving him face. He suddenly snarled in a low voice. Hey! The air above his head blew up, and a yellow golden core rose from the top of his head with a yellow glow. His yellow golden core is also awesome with Weisuo's golden core. His Dao technique shapeshift great art, rank is obviously not low, and at least half of mystic rank's powerful energy, and the Coiling Dragon Reverend's yellow Coiling Dragon add up, almost equivalent to 2 pieces of mystic rank, the shapeshift great art great treasure's powerful energy. Plus 2 real mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure. At this moment, there are 4 real mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasures, which are coming to Weisuo. Oh! 4 powerful powers of mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure. What kind of terrifying, Coiling Dragon Reverend and Ancient Alligator Cave Lord, the air of Weisuo and Qingping around the body are immediately pressed to appear a strip of astral wind. You two help me deal with Coiling Dragon Reverend. Weisuo took a shot on the treasure receiving pocket, and under the black light, the Black Bone Dark Lord stood on his side. At the same time, as he reached out, a peacock-tailed shapeshift great art great treasure was provoked by him, giving a circle of colorful glow, covering the black essence metal giant crocodile that rushed from the rear. The black essence metal crocodile, whose powerful energy reaches the true mystic rank, was stunned by the skylight of his shapeshift great art great treasure. What is this shapeshift great art great treasure, even the mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure can hold? To deal with Coiling Dragon Reverend. Upon seeing Weisuo's shot, she directly placed a piece of mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure from Ancient Alligator Cave Lord. Succubus Deer's eyes suddenly flashed, but she also had the slightest hesitation. Great treasure piece of great treasure piece. The red glow and a peach-shaped splendid light rushed toward the Coiling Dragon Reverend. Hong! Qingping also inspired Qi Tianese, and at the same time, he also produced 5 red balls with core cyan. In a surging sound of heaven shaking, I saw the brilliance of Succubus Deer and Black Bone Dark Lord and Qingping, and the cohesive yellow Coiling Dragon that was inspired by Coiling Dragon Reverend. Have to smash. At the same time, a purple heavenly dragon and a huge wave inspired by the Weisuo golden core were also crushed by the blue-yellow hoe that was formed by the Nijin bridge. Ah! In the ancient alligator cave lord's screaming surging sound, Weisuo did not have the 6 white giant pillars falling above the old crocodile reverend, a small dark gold sword chi, a flash, to the coiling dragon reverend before. Pa! At the moment when the 6 white giant pillars lie on Weisuo's is a red fire lotus with a giant great treasure. Just with the red fire lotus, the 6 white giant pillars collapsed immediately and turned into a group of flying ash. Chi. Weisuo's this thin dark gold sword chi, powerful energy is terrifying, just a flash, piercing the protective body green spirit light outside coiling dragon reverend. How? In the nostrils of coiling dragon reverend, 2 yellow light were immediately sprayed on the dark gold sword chi of Weisuo's. But what made his eyes burst into a thrilling look was that his 2 yellow lights burst into pieces instantly, and no shapeshift great art resisted the light of Weisuo's chi. In the rush, coiling dragon reverend just had a flash, and the Xuanhuan hit his left chest. I saw a surging sound, and the shapeshift great art on coiling dragon reverend seemed to resist the powerful energy of the great treasure half, but his shapeshift great art was immediately pierced with a hole. A bunch of blood light emerged. Ah, the hair of the ancient alligator cave lord almost exploded. I didn't dare to stay away from the crowd as before, and madly approached Weisuo. Coiling dragon reverend. At this time, the great treasure fan reverend Bai Jiankong, who was originally distracted, suddenly woke up. As soon as he saw the blood light on coiling dragon reverend's chest, his eyes were filled with a stunned look. At the same time as a bite on his tongue, there was a fluorescent flash in his hand, and the edges were irregular, like something like a fragment. A surging sound of, this piece, with his true Yuan intent, immediately spurred toward Weisuo. The splendid light on this piece of things is getting brighter and brighter, and the breath is becoming more terrifying. In the beginning, this thing was in the air, like a silver-white fireworks, but it only flew a few dozen feet of space. This thing has become a silver-white comet. The silver-white splendid light emitted from this thing turned out to be a faint form of 5 Dao Venerable, and the 5 Dao Venerables were tightly held together and rotated in front of this thing. Ah! What is this shapeshift great art great treasure? Green-robed old man sent out a drink to get a surging sound. What thing? Succubus deer is also a surging sound, swallowing his mouth and his face pale. The powerful energy of this thing inspired by Bai Jiankong is still far above the yellow coiling dragon inspired by Huang Long Reverend, which makes succubus deer feel a deadly threat. Even if he doesn't control it, do you really want to be put into a slave bag? Seeing this scene, Weisuo issued a surging sound to succubus deer. How fierce, how can you blame me? In this bucket of shapeshift great art, how can I control him from time to time? And he now bites his tongue and doesn't know what to do with the divine consciousness shapeshift great art. Succubus deer gave Weisuo a look. Hong. 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 But at this time, a yellowish spiritual chi suddenly exploded from the coiling dragon reverend. Coiling dragon reverend's true Yuan power suddenly rises. Dedication. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 532. Chapter 532 Great Treasure Annihilation Golden Core. How can this person's cultivation base suddenly skyrocket? Succubus deer's screaming surging sound suddenly stopped, and the whole body was cold, and even Weisuo's face was great treasure. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. You all have to die. Coiling dragon reverend screams like a thunder, his left chest's secret place, a fleshy and fuzzy, and the look on his face is extremely embarrassing. The yellow coiling dragon of the yellow spiritual chi condense outside, the great treasure is more than double. He didn't even think that under the impact of equivalent to 4 pieces of mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure powerful energy, Weisuo could still launch a counter-attack and even hurt him. For him, Wei Suo is a true younger generation, a junior, his identity, and how honorable. Under one face, he was actually injured by a younger generation, which made him completely angry. Hong. In the thundering surging sound, a yellow Dao venerable with a cockroach, King Kong's anger, appears out of the top of Wei Suo's head. This yellow Dao venerable has a rippling atmosphere, terrifying. Pa. 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 Ah. Succubus Deer and Qingping were all stunned and screamed. All of them inspired by Shapeshift Great Art and Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure Powerful Energy, the impact of the group that Bai Jiankong inspired to form 5 silver white flames surrounded by Dao Venerable, even without Shapeshift Great Art can stop. Qingping's hands in the hands of the Celestial Sinan, coupled with her surgery Shapeshift Great Art, powerful energy is at least equivalent to a mystic rank downshift Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure, and Succubus Deer's red glow, peach-like brilliance, coupled with the black light column inspired by the Black Bone Dark Lord, add up, at least to the 1.5 mystic rank, the powerful energy of the Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure. This can't stop it. Bai Jiankong inspired the powerful energy of this silver white flame, which is beyond the power of mystic rank middle grade Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure. Hong. A black antiquity ominous fire, followed by a silver white flame. Hit by the black antiquity ominous fire, the powerful energy of this silver white flame was finally exhausted, and the 5 surrounded Dao Venerable collapsed and scattered, and the shiny pieces inside it turned into powder. This thing, not the fragment of ancient different great treasure, is the consumable Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure like the Annihilation Golden Core. Although it was against the terrifying silver flame in the blink of an eye, the yellow Dao Venerable, which was suppressed from the air, also crushed the purple ancient heavenly dragon and heaven overflowing river scroll on the Wei Suo golden core. A huge wave. Hong. The yellow Dao Venerable was first suppressed on the heaven overflowing river scroll. Heaven overflowing river scroll, a surging sound, sorrowful, spirit light great treasure lost, cannot bear directly, hidden in the Wei Suo's golden core. Immediately, the yellow Dao Venerable was unstoppable on the Wei Suo's purple golden core. Wei Suo's purple golden core, a violent shock. The golden core tremor, Wei Suo was inductive and spurted a spurt of blood. The powerful energy of this yellow Dao Venerable is also the powerful energy of the equivalent to mystic rank middle grade Shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure. What secret place technique he used, he can multiply his own true UN power. This kind of Shapeshift Great Art, with his previous civil core third layer cultivation base, can't be displayed at all. Give me death. Wei Suo was in a huge earthquake, just a spurt of blood, just a thought in his mind. Coiling dragon reverend is a surging sound roaring, and a yellow Dao Venerable and a blue yellow Ho, crushed over. The goal of this yellow Dao Venerable and blue yellow skull is all Wei Suo's golden core. Coiling dragon reverend, the move is obviously to bomb the Wei Suo's golden core, and the Wei Suo is shocked to capture the Wei Suo's golden core and the body. The improvement of his strength in true UN is certainly not sustainable. His skill, such as Shapeshift Great Art, can't kill him. Kill ancient alligator cave lord first. Wei Suo knows that this is the moment of life and death. The eyes are only between the flashes, and the golden light of the devastating atmosphere rises from his hands. At the same time, he and Qingping were shrouded in a white light. Annihilation Golden Core. The eyelids of the coiling dragon reverend and the ancient alligator cave lord are aslam. Hong. A group of terrifying origin chi and flames exploded directly in front of the yellow Dao Venerable and the blue yellow Ho, and the yellow Dao Venerable and the blue yellow gimmicks inspired by the coiling dragon reverend were all smashed. A mushroom cloud of giant treasure rises up. Wei Suo and Qingping, in the flash of white light, have already appeared in the rear of the 60-foot distance, and spurred toward the ancient alligator cave lord. Whoosh! At this time, Wei Suo also seemed to lose control of the peacock-like shapeshift Great Art Great Treasure, which was originally set, and the black essence metal giant crocodile that was originally fixed was taken back. Seeing that Wei Suo and Qingping Reverend were pushing themselves all the way, the ancient alligator cave lord suddenly looked cold and directly slammed the essence metal giant crocodile toward the rear. He can also see that Wei Suo is not good at seeing it, but he can't fight Coiling Dragon Reverend and wants to kill him first. Under this lust shape, Wei Suo wants to block the Coiling Dragon Reverend. It is difficult to kill it. As long as he is not killed by Wei Suo, then it is definitely the Wei Suo side. Succubus dear. You should stop Coiling Dragon Reverend first. Wei Suo's called surging sound, which also rang at this time. There is something wrong with him. He is so powerful. How can I stop it? It is better to take the opportunity to grab her treasure receiving pocket, escape or find another opportunity to talk to the two people. Succubus deer also escaped when the Annihilation Golden Core exploded. When we heard Wei Suo say, Succubus deer suddenly gnawed his teeth and stared at Qingping's treasure receiving pocket. She didn't want to stop Coiling Dragon Reverend at all. In her opinion, Wei Suo is definitely fighting Coiling Dragon Reverend and Ancient Alligator Cave Lord. What she wants to do next, just grabbed Qingping and installed the Monument of Longevity Monument. Treasure receiving pocket. By then she can use this thing to talk to Coiling Dragon Reverend and Ancient Alligator Cave Lord. What? What is this? But at this moment, her eyes were bulging like a ghost. Ah! The eyes of the Ancient Alligator Cave Lord are even more dazzling than her, and the hairs of the whole body are stunned. His naked body, a fierce meal in the air. The black essence metal giant crocodile at his feet was fixed by a circle of colorful rays. This time, he is reflected, he is in the calculation of Wei Suo's. Wei Suo deliberately took him back to this black essence metal crocodile and saw Wei Suo chasing him. He was subconsciously controlled by the speedy shapeshift great art great treasure. But Wei Suo just fixed his thing at once. At such a pause, the distance between Wei Suo and him is less than 400 feet. But every secret place that made him violently trembled, and his eyes were rushing out. Wei Suo's hands were now rising. A golden core then Wei Suo and Panga Reverend, and a great treasure of the golden core. On top of this golden treasure of the giant treasure, there is a fine light pattern, a devastating atmosphere, swaying out. A surging sound. Seeing this thing, Coiling Dragon Reverend also unconsciously swallowed a slobber. The pursuit of the shadow cannot help but one. Annihilation Golden Core. Such an impressive treasure of the Annihilation Golden Core. Such an Annihilation Golden Core, isn't it necessary to blow up half of the sky? Boom. While the Ancient Alligator Cave Lord was screaming out of the surging sound, the heart of the Ancient Alligator Cave Lord seemed to violently contract, giving a squeaky dugging surging sound. As the sound of this surging sound sounded, the breath of the Ancient Alligator Cave Lord quickly disappeared. It seems that all true Yuan in his naked body seems to be exhausted in a flash. A grey light beam emerged from the secret place of his chest, constantly changing its orientation. The light that swelled into the hands of Wei Suo was to see the great treasure, which would scare the dead and extinct golden core. At this distance, the Ancient Alligator Cave Lord never dared to let this Annihilation Golden Core explode near itself. This terrifying Annihilation Golden Core, even if it is aside, is impossible to withstand, so at this moment there is no shapeshift great art set up shapeshift great art to escape, can only intercept. Right now. But at this time, Wei Suo was facing the Qingping, and issued a surging sound great treasure. Without a slight pause, a brilliance of devastating brilliance, spurred out from the hands of Qingping, spurred toward the Ancient Alligator Cave Lord. This is not good. The Ancient Alligator Cave Lord's body was shaken, his hands stretched forward, but he had not waited for him to react. A surging sound, a devastating flame, had exploded in front of him. This devastating flame instantly formed a terrifying light group, drowning the image of the Ancient Alligator Cave Lord. Ancient Alligator Cave Lord. You. Seeing such a lust scene, coiling dragon reverend screamed angrily, a yellow Deo venerable, violently suppressed from the sky above, and his gold bridge was directly crushed towards Weisuo, seemingly completely absent consider whether his tire naked body of mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure is likely to be damaged. At this moment, the image of the ancient alligator cave lord was completely submerged in the frantically expanding terrifying light group, but the grey light column he had issued before was still coming to Weisuo. Coiling Dragon Reverend's attack is obviously to suppress Weisuo, so that Weisuo does not have shapeshift great art to avoid this grey light column, and he also wants to block this grey light column. Annihilation Golden Core, the power is so terrifying. In his hand, there are so many Annihilation Golden Cores. There is also such a great treasure. There are so many Annihilation Golden Cores, and there is such a great treasure, and I will definitely win. Seeing that a giant treasure Annihilation Golden Core that Weisuo's hands had risen did not blow up, the result was that in the hands of Qingping, an Annihilation Golden Core suddenly appeared, and the explosion was coming. Succubus Deer's face was full of shocks. His eyes flashed violently, and his teeth were also determined. Pu. A red monster core, spurting out of her mouth, directly hit the yellow Deo Venerable from the top. Hong. It seems that the two hills collided, and a circle of light visible to the naked eye spread out from the collision secret place. Compared to this yellow Deo Venerable, the red monster core of Succubus Deer is extremely small. But under the impact, the yellow Deo Venerable turned out to be cracked in an instant, all broken. And Succubus Deer's monster core is also flying backwards. At the same time, Succubus Deer is a surging sound, and it sways back and flies away. It seems that it was hit hard and it was out of the battle group. With Succubus Deer's shot, Weisuo and Qingping's figure instantly pulled up, avoiding a blow from the grey light beam in front. Ah! A tattered figure squatting out of the mushroom cloud. Ancient alligator cave lord under the attack of the Annihilation Golden Core, there is no death. However, Weisuo's look is without any change. It seems that it has already been prepared. The surging sound of is bursting, and a thin dark golden sword light is nailed to the heart of the ancient crocodile reverend. Part. Pu. The old crocodile reverend's surging sound, suddenly paused, seems to be fixed, and was worn in the air by the dark golden sword light hole. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 533. Chapter 533 is confusing again. Ah! You dare to kill the ancient alligator cave lord. I will definitely let you know that life is not as good as death. Upon seeing the naked body of the ancient alligator cave lord, wearing a dark golden sword, Coiling Dragon Reverend knew that the ancient alligator cave lord was useless. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. Each of his pores seems to have a hysterical roar, and the yellow spiritual chi outside him is a further expansion. What is his surgery shapeshift great art? Qingping's face was pale, and she saw another yellow Deo Venerable appearing in the sky, and the powerful energy of this yellow Deo Venerable was further expanded. The powerful energy of this yellow Deo Venerable also made Weisuo feel deadly, making him feel that there is no shapeshift great art at all. At the moment, in addition to the Annihilation Golden Core of a Reverend Diaosha's Golden Core embedded in the Reverend Golden Core, the rest of the Annihilation Golden Core on Weisuo's hand is all used up. Now if you use this Annihilation Golden Core to block this yellow Deo Venerable, then there will be nothing that can make a fatal threat to the Coiling Dragon Reverend. Under this kind of lust, the rest of Weisuo's body is also not used with Secret Place, Yang Rougebird and Mind Devouring Bug, Shapeshift Great Art, and they are not allowed to release it, so as not to be accidentally kill. But at this time, he felt that an aging scent had also emerged from Coiling Dragon Reverend. On the golden core of Coiling Dragon Reverend, core chi slammed into his naked body, but his body still revived the aging scent. This Dao technique shapeshift great art by Coiling Dragon Reverend is based on Golden Core's great treasure loss to boost true UN power. Cultivator cultivation Golden Core is an equito to the Golden Core with true gold, and his Dao technique shapeshift great art, equito to is quantified as true UN with many Golden Core essences and great treasure. Golden Core great treasure the loss of amplitude, the body cannot get enough core chi moisturizing, it will start to age immediately. Qingping fellow Daoist, this thunderbolt is also used by you to help me resist. Familiar, Wei Suo's eyes flashed, and the decision was made. A yellow crystal ball was shot in the hands of Qingping, but it was always in the air, and there was a semi-mystic rank powerful energy bright thunder balls array. Also intercourse gave Qingping. At the same time, in his hands, the silver flashed, but there was green seeker silver staff. Without a pause, a grey light ignited and the cover fell on Coiling Dragon Reverend. Hong. Coiling Dragon Reverend at this moment, the yellow Dao venerable, powerful energy has been terrifying to an unimaginable level, down to the next level, Qingping, bright thunder balls array, black bone dark lord, Wei Suo inspired by Qingping core sunlight, and so on, all crushed at once. This yellow Dao venerable was once again suppressed on Wei Suo's golden core. Wei Suo's body naked body, once again violent tremors, but also spurted a blood. What is this shapeshift great art great treasure? But at the same time, in the eyes of Coiling Dragon Reverend, there is also a look of extreme fear. In the light of the grey light, Coiling Dragon Reverend's naked body, rapid aging, just a moment of time, his face, there are more wrinkles, as if aging for 10 years. Ah! Coiling Dragon Reverend reached out and said that the golden bridge was like a shield and was in front of him. But it didn't work. The sleek grey light from Wei Suo's hand turned out to be through the yellow mist of the Jinqiao bridge, which still fell on him. Bai Jiankong. Seeing that the golden bridge had no shapeshift great art blocking the grey light from the green seeker silver staff, Coiling Dragon Reverend turned to look at Bai Jiankong. But Bai Jiankong is still a bit of divine consciousness at this time, and it is obvious that he is still controlled by succubus deer. Waste. Seeing such a lust scene, Coiling Dragon Reverend almost spurted out a spurt of blood, and reached out to take a shot of the volley, and took Bai Jiankong to the front of his body like a shield. Bai Jiankong is one of the 3 murderers of Tianbei, the cultivation base of the Golden Core second layer late stage. Originally, the strength was considered tyrannical, but at this moment, succubus deer was suppressed by divine consciousness, but nothing was sent with secret place. Ah! But letting Coiling Dragon Reverend completely burn out with the desire is that Bai Jiankong is in front of him, and it can't stop the grey light from Wei Suo green seeker silver staff. He and Bai Jiankong are all together. Fast aging. Waste, what to use for you? At this time, Coiling Dragon Reverend is completely crazy, completely feeling the danger of falling. A surging sound of, in the case of Lussing that Bai Jiankong was used when the shield was useless, Coiling Dragon Reverend was directly mad, and directly hit a post in the heart of Bai Jiankong, and beat Bai Jiankong it is divided. At the same time, Coiling Dragon Reverend was under the urging of the topaz 3-footed great treasure trip, and then swept wildly. Coiling Dragon Reverend's speed of this flying shapeshift great art great treasure is above the Wei Suo's chi fire boat. At this moment, he feels the danger of falling. I want to rely on this shapeshift great art great treasure to escape. I want to run, it's not so easy. However, Wei Suo reached out and hung on the peacock Ming Wangyu in front of him. It was also a great treasure, a colorful circle of light, and the Coiling Dragon Reverends this pair of shapeshift great art great treasure. Ah! Wei Suo, I am not wearing the sky with you. You want me to die, not so easy. The flying shift great art great treasure was held by Wei Suo, and Coiling Dragon Reverend suddenly snarled wildly. Hong! 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 In the crazy roaring surging sound, Coiling Dragon Reverend kept controlling the golden bridge and turned out a respectable yellow Dao Venerable, mammothing towards Wei Suo. Wei Suo's body was naked and it was a violent tremor. Coiling Dragon Reverend's attack powerful energy is really tyrannical. The golden bridge cooperates with this yellow Dao Venerable's bombardment powerful energy. Every hit depends on his golden core hard fight to resist. Every hit will be against him. Golden core and the body cause no small damage. The current lust shape is that the two are completely desperate, to see who can support it first, whether Wei Suo was first defeated by Coiling Dragon Reverend, or Coiling Dragon Reverend was first exhausted by Wei Suo's Green Seeker Silver Staff. Just in a moment of time, on Wei Suo's Green Seeker Silver Staff, a sound of a surging sound was made. Fellow Daoist Wei. The original face was awkward, and the Qingping, who was desperately in the controls, was stunned by Qingping and Lei Yu. On the Green Seeker Silver Staff, the shapeshift great art bead that ignited this gray brilliance broke open at this time. This Wei Suo comes from the shapeshift great art bead of the strange red beast. It has already lost the powerful energy of the great treasure half. At this most critical moment, the powerful energy of this shapeshift great art bead is just exhausted. The gray brilliance emanating from the Green Seeker Silver Staff disappeared instantly. It turns out that you are also a consumable shapeshift great art great treasure. Haha. At this time, Coiling Dragon Reverend has been white-haired, with wrinkles on his face, and the wind and candle are still alive. It seems that he may die at any time, but this gray brilliance disappears instantly. After a slight glimpse, Coiling Dragon Reverend's eyes are the light burst out and the crazy laughter. See how you are still my opponent. Give me death. In the surging sound, the yellow Dao Venerable of a giant treasure was turned out of the air and pressed down against Wei Suo. How many annihilation golden core, hurry up ah! Succubus deer, who escaped far away, couldn't help but scream. Coiling Dragon Reverend's shapeshift great art powerful energy, she can only resist a maximum of 2, and look at the lust shape of Coiling Dragon Reverend at the moment, cast a dozen times such a shapeshift great art, no problem, they will not die of life essence. She doesn't think that Coiling Dragon Reverend will really let her go after killing Wei Suo and take her away from this secret place. What is he doing? But what Coiling Dragon Reverend and this head succubus deer didn't think was that the surging sound exploded, and at this moment, Wei Suo turned out to be a green-black ghost and grabbed the body of the ancient alligator cave lord. In front of him, a black knife was inserted into the chest of the ancient alligator cave lord. Pu. After breaking the number of splendid light, the yellow Dao Venerable of Coiling Dragon Reverend was smashed on Wei Suo's purple golden core, making Wei Suo's whole body naked, and it was a shock, a blood. It was sprayed out of the mouth. Chi. But at the same time, a black light was immediately spurred out of Wei Suo's hand, and it was a black knife. It turns out that your shapeshift great art knife is a shapeshift great art great treasure that can absorb the cultivator's chi and blood, the essence and the powerful energy. You deal with Baiji Unkong, using the Xuanhuan reverence chi and blood. No wonder Baiji Unkong claims that the Tianyi defense's first Tai spectroscope is broken and can't resist. Seeing this black light shot from Wei Suo's, in the eyes of Coiling Dragon Reverend, there was a look of enthusiasm. Unfortunately, when you used this thing to deal with Baiji Unkong, I already saw it. The material of this thing is completely vulnerable, and you can break it with a single spiritual artifact. A little blue light rose from the hands of Coiling Dragon Reverend. This glaucoma is a cyan earring. And this cyan earrings flashed, it has disappeared in the hands of Coiling Dragon Reverend, dang a surging sound, directly hit the black knife. This cyan earring shaped shapeshift great art great treasure, it is not a strong pressure, it seems to be only a spirit shift great art great treasure of spirit rank high grade, but this shapeshift great art great treasure, but also a rare teleport class shapeshift great art great treasure. What? In Coiling Dragon Reverend's view, by his shapeshift great art great treasure, Wei Suo's black knife must be torn apart, but the pupil is so fierce that the black knife is hit by cyan earrings. Underneath, it was directly beaten and flew out, and there was no such thing as a powerful energy. However, the black knife of this handle is not damaged at all. This is not good. An extremely dangerous thought rose up in his heart. But he only had time to cross the front of the Jinqiao bridge. A black light had already fired in front of Wei Suo's, and a red light spurred out from the front end of the black light. Ah! This red light, without any hindrance, directly penetrated the Nijin bridge, and then shot from the chest of Coiling Dragon Reverend, shot from behind his back. A bloody fog blew from the back of the Coiling Dragon Reverend. Ah! I actually died in your hands. Wei Suo, true martial sect must not let you off. My true martial sect master is the cultivation base of divine mystic realm, you must not die. Coiling Dragon Reverend's naked body is fierce and stiff, and it has a cursing screaming surging sound, but this surging sound instantly becomes low and there is no breath at all. True martial sect's supreme elder, Coiling Dragon Reverend, was killed by Wei Suo. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 534. Chapter 534 receives the war. This old ghost is so abnormal. Vertex Novels hit the novel. One shugging sound, Wei Suo swallowed a sip of blood, called a surging sound in my heart. Coiling Dragon Reverend's tyranny and treacherousness completely exceeded his expectations. If he used the black knife of Rune Essence metal to lie to Coiling Dragon Reverend, his blood-slip shapeshift great art knife would be directly destroyed. It is him who died at this time. Even so, his golden core and physical body are not bad, and it is estimated that it will be repaired at least for a few dozen days. What you will do? But at this time, Wei Suo saw that succubus deer, who had been hiding aside, suddenly rushed toward the body of Coiling Dragon Reverend. We are not saying it. If you kill these people, what are they on? Are they kept by me? What is your shapeshift great art knife? The power is too great treasure. What if you put a knife on him and kill me? Succubus deer stopped in front of the body of Coiling Dragon Reverend and pouted a surging sound. His body is also counted on him. His shapeshift great art great treasure and shapeshift great art can be kept for you first, but his body is not here. Wei Suo also had a surging sound on the top of the horse. To be honest, the other team is also very dissatisfied with the succubus deer. If succubus deer has been controlling Baiji Unkong, it will not let Baiji Unkong cast such a great treasure of shapeshift great art great treasure. And this succubus deer has always been a secret place in the state of the wall, in addition to resisting the Coiling Dragon Reverend. At other times, there is no effort at all. And if he is in peacetime, he may not care about it for a while, but in order to deal with the ancient alligator cave lord and Coiling Dragon Reverend, Wei Suo is a life-saving, annihilation golden core that can be used on hand, and only one is left, and the most important thing is that for a long time, the shapeshift great art knife has no shapeshift great art to absorb the chi and blood of Coiling Dragon Reverend. How is his body not counting on him? Is your head counted as something on your body? If you say no, then you will give me your head and I will not refuse. Succubus deer hands on his hips, a look of disdain. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Why, do you think that without this shapeshift great art knife, can I not kill you? If I really don't keep my promise, I don't need to use this shapeshift great art knife to kill you. Wei Suo glanced at succubus deer and shook the great treasure annihilation golden core directly against succubus deer. Mom, this is a great treasure, scared to death. No, really let this bad guy become angry, then the great treasure stuff blows me up. I am sure I have to be bombed and there is no residue left. As soon as succubus deer saw Wei Suo's great treasure annihilation golden core, he was a little scared. Nice. It's yours, but I tell you, don't you want to play tricks? Otherwise I will blue monster core directly, and the great treasure family will finish it. Depressed and criticized, Wei Suo said, Succubus deer brushed a roll of cope dragon reverence shapeshift great art and treasure receiving pocket, just the body of coiling dragon reverend. Lost to Wei Suo. As long as you don't play tricks yourself, there is also his golden core, you give it to me. Wei Suo glanced at the monster beast, who was wary of his own, and did not stop the blood-feeding shapeshift great art knife into the naked body of coiling dragon reverend. What, you want his golden core? You don't have to get a good size. Succubus deer suddenly screamed in anger. His golden core, I can't use it directly, what are you afraid of? Wei Suo also looked at Succubus deer without hesitation. Succubus deer glanced at Wei Suo and finally gave in, and reached out and threw coiling dragon reverend's golden core to Wei Suo. Wait, I want to come to you, don't you want to play tricks? I lost the coiling dragon reverend's golden core, which is also a very glamorous treasure, to Wei Suo. I saw that Wei Suo had pulled the blood-feeding shapeshift great art knife out of the chest of coiling dragon reverend, and the succubus deer eyes turned. And immediately said this to Wei Suo. Come to my side. This made Wei Suo stunned and didn't know what the succubus deer meant. So if you attack me like me, I blue monster core and you can't run. Succubus deer nodded affirmatively. Explore you. Wei Suo couldn't help but swear. Okay, then you come to me. But then he did not reject this proposal from succubus deer and said such a sentence. Because in fact Wei Suo is also very afraid that the succubus deer suddenly attacked him and Qingping. After all, this succubus deer's divine consciousness has a very strong impact. When it starts, Qingping is directly to be directly abolished and has no resistance. Let her go to her side. Wei Suo is to let the Black Bone Dark Lord stare at her. Anyway, the divine consciousness shock of succubus deer had no effect on the Black Bone Dark Lord. If she wanted to sneak into Wei Suo, she couldn't resist the attack of the Black Bone Dark Lord in the close lust. Good deal. Succubus deer didn't think of Wei Suo's calculations. After a surging sound, he carefully moved to the side of Wei Suo and Qingping. Wei Suo didn't care about her anymore. After taking out a healing medicine pill and swallowing it, divine consciousness swept away, and then Mystic Fiend Ghost Claw suddenly shot a few 100 feet away. Bai Jiankong's golden core also caught it. I saw Bai Jiankong's golden core, which is white with naked body. Compared to Reverend Diaosha's golden core, it is a lot of great treasure. As one of the 3 murderers of Tianbei, there is a powerful great treasure of terrifying, but it was actually shot by coiling dragon reverend. It is estimated that Bai Jiankong can also be regarded as the most grievous death of heavenly profound continent in recent decades. One of the golden core great treasure cultivators. Bai Jiankong's golden core, Wei Suo estimates that his golden core can be repressed into the annihilation golden core if it is in full swing, but his golden core is not damaged at this time. It is simply not sure. Under eyes flash, Wei Suo directly took Bai Jiankong's golden core into the ancient storage ring, and then Mystic Fiend Ghost Claw grabbed it, but it was a black knife refining the smashed rune essence metal. Also caught back. Well, this rune essence metal is indeed tough. Grab the black knife back, and Wei Suo's eyes flashed in the eye. Just in dealing with coiling dragon reverend, he successfully deceived the knife to coiling dragon reverend. He did not know this knife to stimulate the shapeshift great art, was purely true UN. With this knife thrown out, the knife was not fired at all, but by that powerful energy there was almost spirit rank high grade shapeshift great art great treasure a blow. The color knife's fetal naked body actually did not have the slightest breakage. The surname Wei's kid, their golden core is like you, but as I said before, they have the shapeshift great art great treasure and they have to be kept first. At this time, Succubus deer is also very fast, and he has rolled up the shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art on the ancient alligator cave lord, which was previously captured by Wei Suo, and the coiling dragon reverend package. A bag, and at the same time reached out and rolled out a red glow, and grab the treasure receiving pocket on the body of Bai Jiankong. There are a few things that are too great treasure, but I can't use your cultivator's treasure receiving pocket. You have to help me collect it first. I will keep it in my treasure receiving pocket then. Succubus deer immediately reached out and poked a few secret places. Succubus deer points to a few shapeshift great art great treasures that have fallen to the ground. This mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure is actually not damaged. Wei Suo swept a black and grey thing in a great treasure pit, but the look on his face was noticeable. This thing is the black essence metal giant crocodile of the ancient alligator cave lord. Surging sound, Wei Suo did not answer succubus deer, mystic fiend ghost claw burst out, and fiercely mentioned, it was mentioned in front of this thing, a true UN focused on it go in. What are you doing? You don't want to make a ghost. Wei Suo's this move made succubus deer startled. Reassured, just look at this thing first. Wei Suo glanced at succubus deer, not to mention that I saw this black essence metal giant crocodile bursting with a black astral wind. This real mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure, it really is not damaged. Under the impact of the annihilation golden core powerful energy, the shapeshift great art great treasure was only burned out of powerful energy, and the ancient alligator cave lord lost control of the shapeshift great art great treasure. No more trials. If you want to try it, wait for me to return the intercourse to you and try again. Succubus deer saw Wei Suo's self-contained look, and his face suddenly covered with a chilly look. Qingping fellow deist, you can help her with these things. Wei Suo sighed a little and turned his head and said this to Qingping. To be honest, he really does not want to keep this thing intercourse to succubus deer, because this is a real mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure. Another piece of mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure, coiling dragon reverends Nai Jingqiao, has been damaged under the attack of the blood-feeding shapeshift great art knife. Now it seems that spirit light is completely lost, there is no need to try. The real mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure, Wei Suo's on hand, but not yet, there is such a thing in hand, against the enemy, the strength can be great treasure. But the monster beast's temper may be different from the cultivator great treasure. In this inexplicable place, Wei Suo does not dare to irritate the succubus deer. Otherwise, if something changes, it will not be able to get out. There is another Huanjiao three-legged giant tripod, which is also intact, but from the lust shape of Fang Ke, although this thing is fascinating, it looks like a mighty, but it is only amazing, there is no special mystery. Nice. I will help you to pick up these things first. What do you think? Qingping looked at succubus deer and said. Until then, she seemed to have recovered from the complete shock of Wei Suo's successful killing of ancient alligator cave lord and coiling dragon reverend. Good. Seeing that Wei Suo stopped the black essence metal giant, succubus deer called out a surging sound and nodded. Wei Suo didn't pay much attention to it. Under the eyes flash, I didn't know what I thought of, but I took Bai Jiankong's corpse. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 535. Chapter 535 Expedition Space. Vertex fiction handwriting novel, Qingping fellow deist, they are probably not involved in this space, otherwise they will always have some traces if they fall. I don't care, I must go out today. Ghost place, who knows if there will be another accident. A conspicuous black-red escape light, flying in a direction in the sky below the condensed blue thick cloud. From time to time, there are 5 red fire groups, which are emitted from this escape light, and they burst into the air. They shot countless cyan thunder lights, giant treasures, and the surging sound. This black-red escape light is exactly on Wei Suo's Qi fire boat, and succubus deer is fed up with the same lust, extremely ugly face. There is only shapeshift great art to leave this place to say, otherwise they will be in this place, so many days, it is impossible to meet Qingping, a bit stunned, a disappointing look, flashed from the eyes. Wei Suo glanced at Qingping and shook his head. He didn't say anything, just looking at the front, his face was a little bit pale. After killing Coiling Dragon Reverend and Ancient Alligator Cave Lord on the same day, Wei Suo and Qingping searched for more than 10 days in this secret place, and from time to time, they stimulated shapeshift great art and heard surging sound. This inexplicable place, although vast, but the terrain is very flat, the surging sound can be transmitted far away. If Qi Longshan and Li Ruohe are also in this space, you will definitely see the source of this surging sound. Tiandu did not find Qi Longshan and others, only to show that they were not involved in this inexplicable space. Wei Suo is also very clear, there is a possibility that it has already fallen under the force of the terrifying space. The power of the cultivator is too weak for the kind of terrifying space. It is down in that lust shape, and there is no such thing as shapeshift great art. In this inexplicable place, Wei Suo wants to get out early, and now he will not leave. Succubus deer is going to be completely crazy. Maybe he wants to blue monster core and they are all gone. Because Qingping's longevity monument on hand can only accommodate 3 people, Succubus deer feels that finding someone in such a place is a bad thing for himself. I saw Chi fire boat flying in the air for 2 more hours. In front of Chi fire boat, there was a blue hurricane. Wait until Chi fire boat is close, but you can see that this is not a hurricane at all, but a giant great treasure funnel-shaped blue cloud column that hangs down from the sky and condenses. Below the blue cloud column, it is a deep valley of giant great treasure. This valley is actually opposite to the opposite side, and the opposite is also the same blue cloud column, which is extremely strange. After flying to the front of this strange blue cloud column, Wei Suo's Chi fire boat sinks directly to the bottom of this deep valley. At the bottom of this deep valley, there is more than 10 feet long, 3 feet wide, like a transparent ice-shaped space gap, quietly suspended. The blue cloud column on both sides of the front and back is close to the space where the gap is about 10 feet. It is suddenly narrowed down, and it stops, giving a kind of inconsistency with this space gap. Fortunately, this space crack has not changed after Wei Suo took Chi fire boat. Succubus deer reveals some white teeth, and said this sentence. In any case, I would like to thank fellow Daoist Wei. If it weren't for fellow Daoist Wei, I would have fallen into it looking at this space. Qingping turned his head and looked grateful. Said this to Wei Suo. You're welcome, Coiling Dragon Reverend was originally to deal with me, I am sure I have to fight with him. Wei Suo looked at Qingping, smiled lightly. Great treasure, don't thank you, anyway, fellow Daoist Wei, I see it clearly, Qingping said, looking at Wei Suo. Don't be so ruthless, if you want to say something after you go out, there is time for great treasure. I don't want to listen to you here. Succubus deer looks impatient, urging a sentence. Then we will go out and plan again. Wei Suo seems to have been accustomed to Succubus deer's stupid sound, and there is no change in his look. Maybe fellow Daoist and fellow Daoist Chi, they have left Qingcheng ruins safely. It's not necessarily looking for us. Thank you for fellow Daoist Wei. Qingping naturally heard the comfort of Wei Suo's words. In the eyes, he was grateful for a flash of light. He took a shot on the treasure receiving pocket and took the piece of longevity monument. Walking, Wei Suo looked at Qingping and nodded. Qingping didn't talk anymore, and reached out to Tru Yuan to focus on the piece of the monument, and then the pale yellow brilliance emanating from the piece of the monument of the longevity monument immediately formed a 3-person fascinating light yellow divine light screen. It's almost the same. Succubus deer slammed a surging sound, but his eyes flashed a glimpse of the unpredictable blackmail. Let's go. Qingping reached out, this piece of longevity monument planted her and Wei Suo and Succubus deer, slowly flew into the space gap in front. Sure enough. Phoenix monument fragment on the light yellow spirit light, a transparent space in the gap, surrounded by a myriad of transparent origin chi squeezed over, incomparable rage, light yellow spirit light the periphery, Non-stop issued a snap surging sound but let Wei Suo dignified look for one of the luces, around the extremely violent space force, is indeed no shapeshift great art penetrate the light yellow spirit light. At this moment, Wei Suo's thoughts are very complicated. According to the feeling of entering Lingmiao Valley before, although the power of this space gap seems to be violent, it seems to be almost the same as the entrance of the secret place. It should be no problem to go out. Reminiscent of Lingmiao Valley, he also thought that this inexplicable space extremely great treasure may also be the ancient sect opened up, but it seems that before it has been perfected, sect has already suffered from the catastrophe, so this inexplicable space is like a semi-finished shapeshift great art device is discarded, and there is nothing inside. At this time, he also thought of Heaven's Dome, what to do after thinking about going out. But at this time, he did not notice, just in front of Qingping, succubus deer, at this time there was a very sinister, extremely sly look in his eyes. A thin red thread ray shot from her hand without a surging sound. Wei Suo was shocked. Although he did not notice the change in the eyes of succubus deer at the moment, his perception was extremely keen, and the sudden arrival of the origin Chi was the absence of shapeshift great art. What are you doing, are you crazy? Wei Suo turned his head in amazement. But at this point, the red thread rays from the hands of succubus deer have been shot on the monument of the longevity monument below. The black blood-sucking shapeshift great art knife appeared in his hands almost instantly. But at this time, succubus deer is throwing a pack of things in his hand. This bag of things is collected from Coiling Dragon Reverend, Ancient Alligator Cave Lord and Baiji Unkong. In addition to the golden core of 3 people, the rest of the 3 great treasures are in this bag. Inside. Laugh. A roll of blue-black yin chi, wrap this thing. This package of things has no effect on me, so I will be buried with you. Your shapeshift great art great treasure, power, and great treasure, can you still have great power in space? See Wei Suo instant with mystic fiend ghost sees this group of things, and have to stimulate their own blood claw great art knife appearance, shapeshift succubus faces to emerge a trace of pride and cynical god deer, at the same time, longevity steel issued a fragmented surging sound, she and a phoenix monument fragment, and Wei Suo, Qingping, as if sunk in general, instantly in the surrounding frenzy of space in the force among the hidden down. Wei Suo, be careful. At the same time, Qingping, a surging sound, stunned a colorful mask instantly in front of her and Wei Suo's condense. At this moment, she was inspired by the 5-color magpie chain dedicated to defense in the true Tibetan temple. She and Wei Suo's longevity monument fragment, cut by succubus deer, and the piece cut by succubus deer is still close to 1/2 of the fragment. Now she and Wei Suo's pale yellow spirit light on the piece of the monument of the longevity monument, can no longer accommodate 2 people, can only accommodate 1.5 people. Wei Suo's half-body naked body are exposed outside, terrifying the transparent origin chi is squeezing toward Wei Suo's half-naked body. Wei Suo's anger at the moment, there is no shapeshift great art in words. He had always been paying attention to succubus deer, but these days, succubus deer did not make a ghost, and he did not think that the succubus deer dared to work in this space gap. This succubus deer turned out to be very familiar with the longevity monument, and she cut off the red light of a longevity monument, and even sealed the longevity monument, so that the longevity monument continued to output the powerful energy succubus deer. It is already early calculated in my heart, waiting for such an opportunity to deal with him, and he did not notice at all. At this moment, Wei Suo, who was stunned by his face, was stunned by the blood-sucking shapeshift great art knife. Instead, he immediately inspired the body of Karma Fire Red Lotus shapeshift great art. Pei Papa. Ah! Just in the screaming surging sound of Qingping, Wei Suo's also had a cocky divine light screen and a flaming red lotus on the outside of Wei Suo's, but this divine light screen and fire red inspired by Wei Suo lotus, and the colorful mask she inspired, is the power to resist the surrounding space. Under the pressure of the violent transparent origin chi, it instantly broke Ka and Shi, and Weisuo's longevity monument fragment broke again and split into two segments. Qingping and Weisuo are also separated at once.